welcome back to Tuesdays at Tilt. Today we're actually going to run through the deck that we've been working on. So we've been working on it for quite a while now, obviously, but just recently we're maybe like a month into testing the prototypes, and we wanted to share everything with you guys. And then actually throughout the whole development of the deck, we're going to keep you updated through these videos and through Instagram and whatever else. So when we decided to really get into design a deck, we kind of like scooter decks have kind of become stagnant. Like there's been small innovations, but like nothing crazy. So we kind of wanted to like break out of the realm of like kind of like the trend of like fancy looking head tubes that don't really do anything for the rider except like style points. And so we kind of took into account like the consistent flex of the deck, because if you have like a really stiff head tube and like a flexible extrusion, it doesn't feel good. And then if we wanted to take into account the grinding locations like crooks, 5.0s, 50s, all the popular grinds right now, so we did that as well. And then there's a whole shift in wheel compatibility going on as well. So that was like kind of like the third criteria, is make sure that's compatible with different wheels. So we did all that. So the way that we actually approach the consistent flex is by doing a really simple head tube and a really simple extrusion. And what we did with those is we just maximized the area that everything is welded around. And we made the tubes as big as we could, but they're really lightweight and thin. So when you make a tube bigger around, you get good flex throughout the whole deck, but you're maximizing your weld area and your strength while doing that. So you can kind of see some components of the deck. To maximize all the weld area, we actually did a straight tube, or a straight head tube here that's lightened on the inside. And what that does is it gives you more weld all the way around the head tube. Same with the down tube, it's a little bigger area for weld because it's a little bit bigger tube. So you get a really simple, clean look, no crazy cutouts, which we really dig. And then for the grinding areas, we did a flat bottom for board slides, lip slides, all that. And then in the back, we actually did these forged dropouts. So on the back, you get these forged dropouts that are completely rounded off in the back, and they won't like get too worn out over time and like smash. It'll take a lot longer than kind of like the bolt-in dropouts, because they're forged for this area of the deck. So to go around those, these kind of make 5.0s, 50s, fakie 5.0s, fakie 50s, all those are a little bit more streamlined on the deck. One more grinding location that we did is on the front of the down tube, or the neck. We included this little concave area, and the concave provides a really good location to lock into overcrook grinds. So you get good flex, good grinding locations. Then the other thing was the wheel compatibility. So with the welded on forged dropouts, we're actually doing the first ever, like at least that I've seen, welded on fixed fender. So this whole back of the deck is fixed, and since everything's welded, you're back to a true one-piece construction. So then in the back with the dropouts, they will fit 24 by 110 up to 30 by 120 with the included spacers. So you can kind of ride whatever wheel setup you want long-term there. So that's kind of just an overview of the technology, and then we have all the scooters right over here that we'll take you through, and we'll show you what the finished prototype kind of looks like on an actual scooter. So this is my actual setup with it on my scooter. This is the 5.5 by 23 deck that I'm riding. And the whole deck's gonna actually be called the theory deck, because nobody's done the welded dropouts, the welded fixed fender, the whole idea of the bigger tubes, more weld area. It's all kind of just an idea or a concept. So we had this whole joke while we were like designing it that in theory it should work. And we're happy to say that it does work. So without these guys knowing, behind the camera Joe and Christian over there, I'm actually gonna have them talk to you guys about their setups. They've been riding them for a lot longer than me, and they can take you through like what they like, and honestly maybe what they don't like. We'll find out.
The main thing I was looking forward to in the deck was the fixed fender, because I've been wanting an actual fixed fender like welded on a deck since I saw the TSIs with the fixed fender way back in the day, and that just makes it super nice for like any kind of manuals and like fakie manuals and stuff like that. Also, it being 5.5 wide, I've always liked really wide decks, and I just think wider is better and more comfortable. So that's super nice. It's super light and responsive. The dropouts are super nice for 5.0s. They don't stick or anything like that. I know with like square dropouts, if you try like fakie 50s and fakie 5.0s, it usually tends to like stick. since it's such an angled dropout. But these are just really nice and round. Mine hasn't like caved in or anything like that, so I'm not worried about like not being able to get my back wheel off. I was pretty skeptical because it looks like they would break off. Like it's just like a welded end, but I've had no problems with it at all.
So when I first saw the designs for this deck, before we ever got any samples or anything in for it, I was looking forward to the flat deck, or the flat bottom of the deck, and the blunt space, because those are two things that are very important to me in my riding. I like to do blunts and I like to grind rails, and a flat bottom for the deck works a lot better for grinding rails, I think. The dropouts are really good as well. I could never do 5.0s before, but these lock in really well. When I first saw the dropout design, I thought it would break off, because I know slim to nothing about designing parts, but I just saw this big thing on the back of it that I thought would break off because of how far it goes behind where the fender ends. But in all actuality, that's one of the strongest parts on the deck. The fender, I like it. It doesn't bother me at all. I know some people like to ride without a brake, but I can't do that, so if I need a fender. So when we were making this deck, I said I was only gonna ride a 5.5 deck if it said tilt on it, and this one does. I was really prone to ride 5-inch decks, and I didn't think I would really want anything bigger because I have really small feet. But when I hopped on this one, you don't really feel the width so much. It just kind of works. Everything about this deck works. It's just the best deck I've ever had. I've never felt so comfortable on a scooter before in my life. And I'm glad that Collin gives me free parts so I can test them out.
So you guys saw the prototypes, got to hear what Christian and Joe have to say about them. And then from here, we actually have 17 points of quality improvement that we're doing to the decks. And right around the time of the Chicago Street Jam, we're gonna meet up with some of the team in Chicago, and anybody who doesn't have a deck yet, pro, flow, employee, anybody with tilt, they're gonna get a deck, and we're actually gonna record another video, kind of like a first impressions thing, test it out some more with those guys in person. And then from there, again, more improvements. The final finish on the deck is gonna be this really nice black anodize and the silver anodize. And anodizing is really good because it's a harder coating than paint. It's gonna slide a lot better, it's gonna last longer. And it actually helps from axles getting locked up in the back dropouts, so that's one more thing that anodizing does. All right, so the winner of last month's episode was Bob Baker. He kind of challenged me to talk a little bit more about the tall stack headset production and give an update on that, so I'm gonna do that. Let us know any handlebar that you want, Bob, Century, Hybrid, Scout, whatever finish you want, we'll get one out to you. And then with the tall stack headset, we're in production, it'll be out this fall before Christmas. And we're actually gonna do a teal, kind of like a marbled teal finish with a white printed logo on it. And we have some new grips in the works as well called the Metric grips. And we're actually gonna make the Metric grips in kind of a marbled pattern as well, but not as loud as like some of the mixed grips out there. So don't think we're gonna like go make some crazy shit, we're not. It's all gonna be pretty mellow, but we're pretty stoked on the colors. So if you have any ideas for the deck, any final colors that you'd like to see us make, any sort of signature idea for the decks, anything in the future, maybe even going into next year, since these decks are already nearing production, what can we do for next year for decks? Let us know. I'll pick somebody. I don't know what I can give you. I'll give them a deck. If the size fits, a couple months, you'll get one. So yeah, comment below, let us know what you think. Thanks. One more thing, yes, I was serious about the deck. We'll probably have an extra prototype. If you comment, we'll choose a winner. You'll get a prototype deck. It'll be a couple months, but yeah, I think you'll dig them. Next month's episode will most likely be about how to get your bearings and spacers dialed in. There's a really simple trick that I can show you guys how to do that. So nothing too exciting, but definitely worth watching. And then the month after that, we're really trying to get a how wheels are made video out. So we're actually gonna we have some wheels going into production. We're gonna try to go see those in production and kind of give you an overview of tilt wheel technology. So yeah, be on the lookout. We'll keep these videos coming, and thanks again for all your support.